What's up, you guys? Bella here from TechCity. It is the TechCity Podcast. How's everyone doing? It is Valentine's weekend. Congratulations to you. I guess I don't know why I'm saying congratulations, but if you have a Valentine, that's exciting. If you don't have one, there's an app review that I want you to please check out, right? I saw the commission for it to be reviewed and checked out and everything, and that's because I saw them advertise on Instagram. It's called True Flutter, and it's interestingly a Nigerian application. It's like a Nigerian solution for Tinder. I don't know why this is so funny, but yeah, this is my new setup for the podcast. I had tried out something last week or so, and I didn't quite like how it looked, and I'm beginning to really love color yellow. So yeah, I just thought to show you the new setup. So this is where everything else will be happening from here on the TechCity Podcast. And if you're listening on audio, holla. I'll leave the link to the video edit in the description. So please check it out as well so you can see how bright I look. So back to Valentine's, right? You should check out the app review. That's going to be up later this week anyway. So if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube just yet, now is a very good time to do so. It's TechCity on YouTube. Basically that, TechCity NG on YouTube. So subscribe and look out for that. And I hope that you have a Valentine. Yeah, that's really all I'm going to say right now. There might be a bonus episode of the podcast. I'm really thinking about it, and that's something that I want to happen, but we'll see how that goes before February is over. All right, my birthday also is next week. This is a lot of personal information, and I think it's a good time to now start the podcast, shall we? So starting the podcast today will be touching on some issues that have made their rounds on social media, on traditional media, and things that have just gotten people talking endlessly. And I think a good place to start will be the ban on cryptocurrency by the Central Bank of Nigeria. I don't know how I felt when that news broke, right? The central bank putting out a statement of sorts to commercial banks. It was quite heavily worded as well, if you ask me, and there was a typographical error in that statement as well. It said the Central Bank of Nigeria. And someone said, I can't even take these guys seriously. They don't know their actual name. And they put out that statement, it went viral, and they didn't even take it down to put out something that was just more accurate. But yeah, the CBN sent out that circular to commercial banks and said dealing in cryptocurrency or facilitating payments for cryptocurrency exchanges was prohibited. CBN also went ahead to order commercial banks to close any accounts transacting with cryptocurrency. Now, let me read the full gist, right? Before I go to other things that caught my attention. When that circular went out, lots of Nigerians were worried because if you belong to tech Twitter, you know that conversations around investments are rife. Everyone is talking about, okay, how much is the Bitcoin today? How much are stocks today? Weeks ago, GameStop and a few other companies just spiked. They literally just went boof on the stock exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, and people were talking about how, I didn't buy GameStop. GameStop literally went from, I think, one figure to three figures. Like from maybe $5 or $9 to like $300 and something, you know, and I was one of the people that felt like, why did I not buy GameStop? But, you know, whatever. But when that news broke out about CBN banning cryptocurrency, the entire tech Twitter space went up in flames. Everyone was like, wait, what? Why? Flutterwave had in fact, you know, gone ahead to kind of solidify that arm of their platform where it's like, you can of course purchase cryptocurrency using Flutterwave. Let's not also forget that during the NSAS protests, when bank accounts were shut down, the donations that a coalition, the FEMCO group of people were receiving to just aid protests and provide welfare for people had to switch to cryptocurrency because they were not receiving Naira anymore. It's like, you know what? You can't even stop us. We'll receive money in crypto. And Jack Dorsey, in fact, tweeted their cryptocurrency link, and you know, it just went wild from there. So when that happened, everyone is like, wait, let's step back a bit. First off, where is this coming from? Months after accounts of the NSAS protesters were frozen, we're still having issues with these accounts getting unfrozen. There are also talks around what happens to startups that have decided to focus on crypto, because of course, as you know, cryptocurrency is futuristic tech in a sense. You don't have to exchange hard cash anymore. People who choose to accept cryptocurrency as payments for anything can actually go ahead with it, because the control is not there like it is with foreign exchange. Right? And people said, no, now this is weird. There are startups that exist because of this, right? And people have also chosen to come to Nigeria to provide these services because they find that Nigerians are early adopters of certain technologies like cryptocurrency. And so Luna, for instance, and Binance also, or Binance, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, put out statements and said, because of this new CBN policy, we cannot continue to receive payments from Nigerian Bitcoin users or buyers and all of those things. And Flutterwave also, like I mentioned, went a step back and said, we also cannot continue like this because of this new CBN policy. And when I went and read further about it, there were just lots of people who were really angry at the CBN for this decision. People, in fact, said, look, this has taken us steps back. If we were 10 steps I just remembered something I'll share with you in a bit. If we were 10 steps ahead of other countries when it comes to fintech, this has taken us steps back, because while Nigeria's banking sector may feel like the most elite, because people have said things like, in other countries, banks don't have apps, Someone said banks don't have apps, but look at CBN dragging the banking sector in the mud, and just, Nigeria's reputation in the mud. But of course, there's been a lot of lamentation about why this happens all the time, and why it seems as if when the government does not necessarily understand something, the very first decision they make is to formulate a policy that frustrates the efforts of people who have already adopted this technology most often. And it's because they don't understand it. What is the best way to handle this? It will be to engage people. And I'm tired of using that word engagement, because I think it's been loosely used recently. Funny, in 2021, or maybe between last year and now, it's the use of the word has drastically reduced. People don't necessarily say stuff like, engage the youth anymore. They don't say stuff like that, because the youth showed them pepe last year. But I think that's the next best thing to do. Engage these people. We don't understand how cryptocurrency works. How does it work? Explain to us so that we can take advantage of the positive sides of this thing. But no. Especially because NSAS exposed them a lot. It's like, no, these guys actually got donations in crypto. We are going to make sure that we put our foot down and block all those access points. But this day newspaper put out something very interesting I would like to share with you. So this day newspaper said that the reason why CBN banned cryptocurrency was because of a warning that the Nigerian government and the CBN itself got from the US FBI on activities of fraudsters using cryptocurrency to bring into Nigeria hundreds of millions of US dollars illegally obtained from the USA and other Western economies. People have said, okay, we hear that. We hear that is a possibility. But when you look at the setup, the structure that most of the applications who are making this cryptocurrency sale available to people, when you look at how it's all set up, they are so meticulous about it. They try so hard to make sure that there are no loopholes, that governments will not have any reason to probe them or find fault with them, right? And somebody also said, look, there was some news item that went viral sometime last year about people who had been linked to sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. Names were mentioned, y'all. Names were actually mentioned, and absolutely nothing was done about that. And you're thinking, some of these things are not even as complicated, as cryptocurrency. It's glaring to see that some of these people who sponsor terrorism are, they may not be the most, what am I looking for? They may not be the most tech savvy, or the models that they use are not the most complicated. So why can't you handle these guys? If we're talking corruption, if we're talking illegal transactions and stuff like that, there are ways to find out these things without doing much now. So why is it that you're not choosing the relatively complicated one and making such huge policies about, and you're leaving the lower hanging fruits? Misplaced priority, I guess. But beyond that, people have said, look, this is not the first time that fintech is facing this problem. For every time there is some major score, there is some major win, there is some, a glass ceiling that's shattered in the fintech sector, CBN will come and be like, In fact, I think Adewale Yusuf of TechPoint put out a tweet where he said, when a potential investor talks to you about your business in Nigeria and they ask, what are the risks involved, is Godwin Emefiele's picture. Because, of course, it's the CBN governor. And that resonated with lots of people because it feels like other sectors don't seem to be as, they're not as easily disturbed as the fintech sector. And it's weird because money is a very serious thing in Nigeria, and we've got to figure that out. And the sooner we began making these things easy for people in that sector, the better for every one of us. Health tech have come forward to say, please, now you people should come to health tech. We're not as heavily regulated as fintech. Ed tech, I think, have also come forward to say stuff like that. But fingers are crossed about what the possibilities are. With regards to people, I guess, pivoting, to that part of technology. But still on fintech, many virtual bank users, beyond the people that this affected, one also just stands out for me. People who would use like your PiggyVest, your Cowrywise, your Monify as well, were affected because Providus Bank, which is the bank that essentially creates an account number for you to do your transactions, maybe from like your bank account to your Bitcoin account, for instance, actually shuts down that side of their business. So they put out a statement saying, we're sorry, we have to shut down our virtual bank account numbers because of this CBN policy. That also stood out for lots of people. It affected PiggyVest, it affected Cowrywise and Monify. And according to reports, Providus Bank said that the shutting down of the virtual accounts was necessary because they wanted to review the system in line with the new regulations by the CBN. They said it was temporary, and we'll take that with a pinch of salt. But of course, their customers, their clients like PiggyVest, Cowrywise, and Monify have told customers not to panic. And I know that some of them have already migrated to like Wema Bank, for instance. But this again is a major problem because it feels like Providus Bank, was making things a lot easier for people. But when you have these kinds of policies, if it just shows you that systems don't exist on their own or in and of themselves. So it makes me worried about how far we can go, how far we think innovation can go, especially when you still have these kinds of structures that exist where there's a big brother somewhere looking down and deciding, well, I see what you're trying to do there, but I don't want that. So we'll just snip. And then does it take us back to square one? That definitely makes me worried. But while all of this is happening and while all of this is ensuing, there are, of course, concerns for people who exist in this sector, your fintech entrepreneurs, your founders, your software developers, your customer service people. And people have tweeted and said, look, it's important that we check up on these people because while everyone might turn this to banter and I know that so Inyaboyeji also took the fall where he talked about being able to still innovate outside of these policymakers, and people said, look, this is a no flex zone. This is not the time for strutting your stuff, right? People are going through so much right now. So having some inspired to acquire what you desire to is not the time for that. So people have said, look, we need to check on our friends who work in fintech to be sure that they're fine and don't make any demands of them, especially as it's Valentine's period, because they are really the worst hit, apart from maybe the users, the guys who actually have these platforms. They might start having sleepless nights, might be worrying about, people's monies that are on their platforms, and God forbid that these platforms are shut down, or it's like now they have to sleep with their eyes wide open because something can happen overnight, and they are the ones who are the helm of affairs, and they have to figure out a way out of it. So if you have a friend in fintech, check up on them, make sure that they're fine. Someone on Twitter actually threw a jab at the vice president, Sir William. He said in a few weeks, Yemi Osinbajo will appear in a conference. He will give a long speech about Nigerian youth maximizing tech for the 21st century. Meanwhile, foreign investors have just watched CBN attack the entire fintech ecosystem because of crypto. And that's one thing that many people have complained about. The vice president always, is in these spaces, and people love him. I know that the tech ecosystem love this guy. He's been involved in many a tech event in this country within the past. Well, I don't know if 2019 counts, but let's just take it far back as the first administration. Between 2015 and 2019, he was so involved. People loved him so much. And even if, the president did not exactly give as much attention to some of these events, the fact that the vice president was attending these things and, being involved with CC Hub as well, and all of these things, Demo Africa, it made people feel like finally we have someone who gets it. But no, how much of getting it they need to show with these policies coming out, of course. So there are concerns about that. But away from that and onto other stuff that's slightly depressing. And this makes me just think of the ICT minister, before 2015, of course, Mobola Johnson. She was dynamite. She was the best decision that the ecosystem made, when the former president was here. And people always talk about how they miss her and all of these things. But we'll talk quickly on touch quickly on the current Minister of Communications and Technology, Digital Economy, Professor Isat Pantami, and his comments on the situation around BVN and NIN. So basically, he said that NIN is more legally accommodating, more inclusive compared to BVN. Because, of course, they've said this whole NIN thing, I talked about this in the previous episode of the podcast and how it's just a major headache for many people. But he now came forward, to say, look, NIN is most likely going to replace BVN because not every Nigerian is banked. And I hear him on that. Not every Nigerian is banked. So not every Nigerian can have a BVN. NIN, on the other hand, will capture... I don't know why I'm doing that. If you can't see me, I'm gesticulating a bit. It's a capture, it's a hug. It will be inclusive of both those who don't have BVNs and those who have. And this is a bit worrisome because you think about why the government decides to do some things sometimes, and you think to yourself, BVN is capturing your biometrics. It's getting it's gotten everything. And when he goes ahead to talk about how very meticulous they are with capturing information and how they also are concerned about the safety of the database, you're like, do I believe that? Because it's not the first time that you are capturing my biometrics. It's not the first time that you are capturing my data. So if you are going to have yet another platform where my information is going to be, why is that? If people already have their BVNs, right? If you're even going to say that, if people already have their BVNs, why can't there be some form of linking without necessarily stressing people to go out again because COVID is still outside, to go and be queuing and be doing all of these things? Someone tweeted something very profound and I'll share it with you. Gravity on Twitter at Anti-Gravity Light says, if you want to replace BVN with NIN, why not convert the current BVN to NIN and ask those who don't have to go do theirs? BVN has your biometrics, your fingerprint, and your pictures. These old people may need to leave office, she tweeted. And you wonder why, these things are happening and why it seems like we are doing the same thing but differently over and over and over again. And people have, of course, talked about the possibility of this thing serving a certain demography of the population, but we'll not focus on that. We'll move on real quickly. Our next stop will be the ongoing social media debate over the resumption of the tolling at the Lekki Ikoyi Toll Plaza after the Judicial Panel of Inquiry on NSAS ruled that the toll could resume operations. Now, I hear that there was a shouting match at the hearing on the day that that ruling was had. The Judge Doris Okuwobi, sat alongside 4 of the 9 members of the panel, and she upheld the LCC's application to repossess the plaza after taking arguments from counsel. Other members on the panel were Sega Link, Oluwatoyin Odusonya, DIG Taiwo Lakanu representing the police, and Lucas Koijo from the NHRC. And they agreed with the justice that LCC could resume tolling at the Lekki Ikoyi Toll Plaza, while other people who were also supposed to be on the panel, Rino Douala, Temitope Majekudumi, and Ebu Adegborua and Patience Udo were not there. Apparently, people have said that the number of people who voted for Lekki to resume tolling did not reach a quorum. They said, no, it doesn't matter, regardless of whether these guys were there or not, because the youth representatives, Rino Douala and Temitope Majekudumi, came forward to say, we did not vote for this, so we dissented, we did not assent to this, so they didn't reach a quorum, so this is shady. But, the panel have come forward to say, the chairman of the panel, I guess, has come forward to say, it doesn't matter. Guys. This reminds me of that thing that happened in the Nigerian scene is that time where 20-something was bigger than 20-something. It's the most hilarious thing. So Sega Link was on a Clubhouse chat that was hosted by Dr. Olufumilayo, and they said it was answering tough questions. And he went ahead to say, I can't afford to express emotions. I made my decision because it would be unfair to the LCC. And this was because Nigerians had said, because Mr. Sega Link was on that panel, if he had voted against the toll from resuming operations, it would have stood. But, of course, he voted for, and that happened. People have said, look, beyond that panel, beyond whatever it is that panel is choosing to do, let us look at let's be more practical about why the tolling should not resume. Number one, traffic is a major situation here. Number two, what happened on the 20th of October, 2020 is still fresh in the minds of many people. People have just chosen to move on. It doesn't mean that we have forgotten what happened there, right? And number three, the Lagos State government doesn't seem like they are being transparent about what is happening with the concessioning. How much did you want to get back? Have you gotten all that money back? If you have, why are you still collecting money from people when they ply that part of Lagos? So something is a bit fishy here. Can we have more information? Can somebody be more transparent than they are currently before going ahead to say, okay, let's go back to tolling people and collecting money from them at the toll plaza? It's just weird. So anyway, before we go, it's not all doom and gloom, Jerry. There's some good news. First off, I need to announce to you that Emanuela of the Mark Angel comedy fame has gotten a nomination at the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards 2021. So have the Ikorodu Boys. The Ikorodu Boys, of course, got some very exciting equipment, courtesy Netflix. Yes, and that was when they did something really cool with Liam Hemsworth's movie. And that was really good. So it's great to see that they're getting that, Ikorodu Boys. It's great to see that they're getting that kind of recognition. And so please look out for that. If you would like to vote for them, make sure that you do so they can bring home the award. It has to come home, please, somehow. And also, if you're a football lover, a footy lover, the league management company of the Nigerian Premier Football League, NPFL, have decided to go digital with their content by launching a mobile application and a web TV platform as well to watch on-demand football matches and more. I like that. It is called npfl.tv, and it launched late last year, actually in December of last year, but we hear that it's still in its beta or testing stage, so there's a lot of work that they're still doing on that platform. But the app is free for now until they sort out other details. But they say that a subscription model is in the works, and the potential pricing specification for the subscription would be 1,500 naira monthly. But if you don't want the monthly package, you could pay and watch per game at the rate of 200 naira. I like with that sound. It's available on Google Play, Apple, and you can watch it on your laptop as well. I really like how that sounds. I think it's very forward thinking. I'm a Chelsea fan. Hala. I'm a Chelsea fan. But the thing is, it's great to support like the English Premier League or whatever. But I think that there's also something that needs to be said about the local leagues as well. And if they don't put themselves out there, if they don't invest somehow, people are never going to know how to support them or take them seriously. So this is really, really good. I wish them all the best. I will be checking out the application and we'll probably be doing a review as well. Speaking of reviews, don't forget to please check out my review of the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. You guys should check it out. It's on YouTube. It's already live, so I will leave a link down below as well. Happy Valentine's Day in advance. I'm not sure why I'm saying that, but love is in the air. If you don't have a Valentine, I'm willing to be yours. I am actually willing to be your Valentine. So yeah, gift exchange maybe. I don't know how that will work, but we'll figure it out. Thank you so much for listening to the TechCity Podcast. Big shout out to everyone who's listened to all the previous episodes. I absolutely love the feedback. I'm getting lots of awesome feedback and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. We've got a new setup here. If you want to see what it looks like, if you're listening to this on any podcast app, I would love for you to also check out what we look like on YouTube. It's really, really colorful. It's vibrant. It's gorgeous. I so much love it. So let's check it out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TechCityNG, and follow us everywhere on social media as well at TechCityNG. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse coming soon. Yes, I'm serious. I was forced to do it if you were curious. Alrighty, Bella Rose from TechCity signing out, saying thank you very much. We might have a bonus episode before the week runs out because Valentine, physically. So thank you. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye for now.